All right, it's great to see everybody. Appreciate everybody coming out to practice today. Should be a great day. Just before we get going, wanted to express my sympathy and condolences for Don Banks' family. I know there's a lot of people in the room that worked with him. We didn't cross paths too much when I was at New England, but I know how tight-knit the media community is, so just want to make sure we, we're thinking about his family. So we're obviously very excited to have the Patriots here to practice against us this week. It's a great opportunity for us as a team and an organization to go out and compete against somebody else in a team setting where we think we can get a lot of different aspects of the game practiced. So you'll see a lot of different movement through the course of the practice. We'll utilize the two fields and a lot of teamwork, a lot of individual work, a lot of competitive drills, and then also some situational stuff as we go through practice. So should be exciting, should be a high level of competition, and should get some really great evaluation and great work done here today. So what we got?
How important are these practices for veteran guys, maybe guys who don't play as much in the preseason to kind of have that competition level ratcheted up and prepare themselves for the regular season?
Yeah, I think it's really kind of one of the things that we went to when I was at New England a while ago, where we kind of felt through the course of training camp. You kind of got to the third week of training camp, guys maybe got tired of hitting each other, got kind of tired of some of those competitions that we were doing. So bringing in another team kind of revitalizes some of that. I think it's very important for the veterans and really the entire team, where we get a good opportunity to go out and kind of run some different things that we might not run in some preseason games, and get a chance to take a look at some different packages and some different things that we might do that necessarily we're working on for the season that wouldn't be prevalent in the game. But just in general, it's good to just have fresh competition to go out and work against somebody new.
Matt, what in particular are you trying to accomplish today or this week?
I mean, the biggest thing for us is just to have a good practice. I think it's no different than when we practice against ourselves. I think both teams understand how important it is for us to get work in, good work. That's really what it's about. It's nothing more than improving on our fundamentals, working our techniques. It's good to see a little bit different scheme, back and forth, so that we can focus on the fundamentals that we're trying to improve on and see how they work against other schemes from that standpoint. But it's still going to be all about just evaluation. And, from a coaching staff standpoint, it's the same for us. We need it too. We need to be able to go out and recognize certain things that an opponent's doing without having a lot of chance to scout or analyze what they're doing, react to it out on the field, and hopefully be able to make corrections and produce. So it's a good practice for us too.
Going on at one time all over the field, how do you choose what part of practice to watch at a given time?
Good question. You kind of get torn in a lot of different directions. The sweet part about it is there's a lot of cameras out there. So we'll go back. We'll watch a lot of tape tonight through the course of the week. I'll move from different drills to drills based on different things I want to see from players.
Matt, when you were piecing the script together with Bill or having those initial conversations, how much were you on the same page from the get-go versus how much did your objectives kind of different? You had to compromise stuff.
Yeah, honestly, it as simple as it could be. I mean, it was just these are things that he and I have done for a lot of years together, not against each other, but obviously together. So really just going back through some different formats that we used and kind of agreeing both sides based on where our teams were right now and trying to get the best evaluation for what we need for the players that we currently have. So pretty easy conversation all the way through the through the spring, through the summer, and up until just even last night.
I would think in some ways today will be like a flashback to all those years you were, had the Patriots out on the practice field. Just for all the times that Tom Brady was there and you had your defense sort of competing against him, what did you learn about him that has allowed him to sustain?
Obviously a great player. It's definitely a lot of familiar faces, which is great. It's always good to see everybody, and it'll be no different when we go on the field. But for me, it's about the Lions and it's about what we're trying to do and what we have to accomplish. Certainly in regards to Tom, I mean, he's an unbelievable player. He's a great person. He's an even better friend. But when you step on that field, it's about competition, and there's no one more competitive than him. So that makes me more competitive too. So that's what's great. But we just want to have a good, clean practice. It's not about anything other than that. It's about practice right now, and that's what's got to be the focus.
Does the familiarity between some of the players make these joint practices maybe a little bit different? I mean, Patrick Chung and Danny Amendola, I have no idea how many times those guys went up against each other. So it's probably a little bit different than a normal joint practice.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's so much movement through the course of the league right now that you're always going to run into guys that have worked with other players on other teams. There's probably a little bit more crossover with some of the players here, but not really all of them, I would say from that standpoint. So it'll still be new. But even when you go against guys through the course of the season that you're familiar with, that you've seen before, there's always something different, something new, something that you have to respond to or react to. So it's just good in that manner. It always kind of brings out the best of everybody, I think.
Matt, obviously, part of your development as a coach, I know you've talked about that plenty, but since you've been a head coach, like how much has he still helped? How much do you still bounce ideas off him? Does that go back and forth?
Sure. I think I've talked at length about my relationship with Coach Belichick and how important that is and how private that is. And, I really appreciate him, not only someone that helped me develop, my career in coaching along with the other coaches that I worked for, but just, as a friend, from that standpoint, he's a great person and really good to me. But, look, I'm the head coach of the Lions. He's the head coach for the Patriots. We're in a very competitive business, and he's running his organization, and, we're trying to do the best we can here. So we just try to focus on our teams.
Matt, for those of us coming from New England, there are a lot of familiar faces on your roster right now that we got to know a little bit in Foxborough. I'm wondering, culturally, as you continue to establish your program here, how important have those players been in terms of what you're trying to get accomplished?
Yeah, it's always good when you bring guys in that you're familiar with and kind of already have a background from that standpoint, and they understand what, for me as a head coach, what I expect and what we're trying to do. The culture here is strictly Lions culture. We're trying to build our own culture here, and we're trying to just bring in the right guys. So it doesn't matter if it's if it's Jesse James or Justin Coleman, who spent time at Seattle in a totally different system, or Adeo Bushi. All those guys are brought in from a veteran standpoint to help us get better. Mike Daniels is another guy, and just trying to bring in the guys that we think are going to understand what we're trying to do and get on board and go in that direction. So for us, it's just kind of building. It's about building the Lions.
Beyond,
How you doing?
beyond the fresh competition, are you anxious to see how your players do, for instance, against a secondary at the level of the Patriots secondary?
Sure. Well, I think we're interested to see us compete, against all the position groups. And I think, the great thing about football is everybody starts over, every year. So wherever they're at, and wherever we're at, hopefully we'll find out how we compete against that through the course of a couple days and then through the game, So certainly it's all part of the process of us building towards, the season. I think both organizations, both teams, head coaches know that neither of us are in peak form. We got a long way to go. No one's even gained a first down yet in the NFL this season. So on our two teams anyways. So I think we're just trying to make sure we go out and practice at a high level and competitive level. And then we're going to have to go in and correct it and fix it and see how it goes. But it's always good to get great competition, which is certainly, what the Patriots provide.
Obviously, you're focused on your team right now, but can you use these joint practices as a way to, look towards the future on the Patriots roster, maybe a player you could acquire in the future, trade for, same off waivers, something like that?
Yeah, for us, it's really kind of just we're staying in the moment. It's really going to be about just our guys and, what we can do to make them better. And that's really got to be our focus as coaches, is how do we just continually try to make our players better as we go through, the course of training camp. We got a long haul here. We're just barely started, and we'll have a couple great weeks of practice and, obviously 4 great games in front of us to try to do that. So that's where our main focus is.
To follow up Mike Reese a little bit about facing Brady, how much does that help your defense because of these situations, the number of reps that they're going to get against a guy like that?
I think it's good in general just to go against, a different scheme, different offense, different quarterback. I think through the course of training camp and the different teams that we play, we'll face distinctively different quarterbacks, which is good because, that's what it's going to be during the season. Week in, week out, we're going to need to adjust to that. We're going to need to kind of get out of our mode where, again, we're a couple weeks into training camp. You kind of get into that grind, but you get into that groove of kind of the same familiarity every single day, which this is a huge change up to that, which is really what's important. And obviously the quarterback is a big part of that.
Last question?
Just curious, did you get to watch Hall of Fame stuff at all? And if so, what struck you?
Yeah, I love the history of the game and love all that stuff. I didn't watch any of it live. I kind of was trying to skim through some of the highlights of it. Obviously, I was very excited for Ty and being such a great friend and a great player and around him. I just love all of it. I think it's the pinnacle of those guys' career and everybody that was inducted and what they were able to accomplish. And I think that's what we're all striving to be a part of, is just try to be great and better and all the rest of it. So I think that's just a great way to kick off the season. A reminder for all of us that are kind of in the middle of it right now, grinding through that. There's definitely different goals at the end of this for everybody, and we all just got to keep pushing for it.